Hey everybody, welcome back again. Today is still October 21st, 2019. In this video, we're going to discuss an incident that occurred last weekend, Saturday the 12th. In New Orleans, Louisiana, we had the Hard Rock Hotel, which was under construction, suddenly collapse, killing 3 workers allegedly and injuring dozens others. Now, I'm a little late to the party on this story. Again, it happened over a week ago. But I didn't want to waste the opportunity to once again display how the same code that I've uncovered in the past is being used in this ritual as well. And as I go through this, I'm going to talk about the numerology of Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite in particular. Remember, it's the Scottish Rite 33rd degree headquarters that's in Washington, D.C., just about a mile away from the White House. And lately in my videos, I haven't been picking on Freemasonry so often because so much of it is speculative. However, when you're looking at something like this with construction, if this collapse was intentional, there would have had to have been very large companies involved. And indeed, I think this is a candidate where we can definitely look at the numerology of Freemasonry and think something's up. But first, I want to start with the very basic numerology of this event. Now, on my channel, the component of numerology that I focused on the closest is Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And we always start with the alphabetic order, which is the most simple cipher. It numbers every letter 1 through 26 relative to its position in the alphabet. Using the alphabetic order, the word collapse has a value of 83. C, the 3rd letter, O, the 15th, L, the 12th, and so on. Now, 83 is the reduction value of New Orleans, Louisiana. This cipher, again using the alphabetic order, but reducing each double-digit number to a single digit. So J, the 10th letter, 1 plus 0 is 1. K, the 11th letter, 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th, 1 plus 2 is 3, and so on. You add the digits together. And here, New Orleans, Louisiana, summing to 83, just like collapse. Now, New Orleans gets its name from the city of Orleans in France. And what's interesting is that not only does Orleans also equal 83 in reverse, again, this is with the accented character not taken into equation. But if you change this to an English E, notice how you get a value of 286 in Jewish Gematria. This, the other significant cipher outside the alphabetic order that I teach in every channel, or every video. In reverse, New Orleans, Louisiana, also with this value of 286. This event is being called a construction collapse. Notice how construction collapse also equals 83 and 286, just like New Orleans, Louisiana. The date on which this story was littered all over mainstream media was October 13th, which is the 286th day of the year. The date of the collapse, October 12th, is the 286th day on leap years. And when we're looking at the number 83, it's important to understand this is the gematria of the word murder. Murder also with a value of 34. The date of this collapse, October 12th, had a life lesson number of 34. Louisiana is abbreviated with LA, and in the alphabetic order, New Orleans, LA, has a value of 139, which is the 34th prime number. So, how fitting that a construction collapse in New Orleans, Louisiana, which already has the same gematria as the city, occurring aligned with the 286th day of the year, and on a date which is directly connected to the gematria of the city. The date of the collapse had what we call primary numerology of 61. This achieved by adding 10 plus 12 plus 20 plus 19. The state of Louisiana has Gematria of 61 in reverse reduction. This is with the alphabetic order reversed, Z as 1 through A as 26. Now, this ritual is aligned with the date that Louisiana was admitted to the Union. And I'm very consistent in this. Whenever there's something that happens in a big city, we look at the numerology of that mayor and also the date that the city was established. Now, the date that New Orleans was incorporated that's celebrated on May 7th, which is the same day their mayor took office, May 7th. But we're also looking at the state. And I find it really interesting that measuring from April 30th, which is Louisiana's date of admission, to the date of the collapse was 165 days. There's another cipher I've been teaching more and more lately called Frank Baconus. I actually am starting to think this is the most significant capital letter cipher. Very logical, it mixes capital letters with small ones and alternates between the two. Well, notice how the word collapse in this cipher sums to 165, or 166, which is what you get if you include the end date. And, this collapse happening 165 days after Louisiana's anniversary. In Jewish Gematria, Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans equals 1,650, a number with the 165 sequence in it. New Orleans, Louisiana equals 1651, so that's really interesting. But we're also going to talk about how this numeric ritual is closely tied in with New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, which also sums to 165 in reverse. Now, only recently have I started writing out gematria that looks like this, but please understand, I did a video just last week talking about an event that happened in Fort Worth, Texas on the same date as this collapse. I displayed how that ritual was clearly connected to Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price, which I ran the gematria of and found many connections to the event. Here we're looking at New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, so just want to display that I'm being consistent here. Now, 165 is a significant number for another reason. In our other capital letter cipher, Freemasonry equals 165. In the alphabetic order, Scottish Rite equals 165. And again, it's the Scottish Rite branch of Freemasonry running the federal government and, in all likelihood, our mainstream media. Notice how in the reverse order, Scottish Rite equals 159. The city of New Orleans was founded in 1718, and I guess it's not sure when exactly, but May 7th has become the traditional date to mark the anniversary, the date written 5/7. The mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, sworn into office on on New Orleans' 300th anniversary, 5/7. Scottish Rite equals 57 in reduction. And if you measure from the date 5/7 to the date of the collapse, it was a span of 159 days later. This woman's name, the mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, sums to 159. Of course, this incident occurring in the year 2019, LaToya Cantrell equals 219. So does Mayor of New Orleans, 219. How appropriate. So we talked about the number 57, the reduction value of Scottish Rite, the anniversary of New Orleans, the date that Cantrell was sworn into office. Well, isn't it interesting that the name Cantrell equals 269, which is the 57th prime number. Now, there's actually a pretty interesting riddle here. She was sworn into office on the date 5/7/2018. Now, in my videos, I talk about the significance of the moon, as I believe the Scottish Rite understands the mathematics of the moon and a little bit about what it means for our reality, which is a deep esoteric subject. I guess I'm not going to get too deep into it now, but this date, 5/7/2018, is super interesting because when we take the word moon, no idea why Chinese was on here. I definitely never translated from Chinese. Oh, wait, that's not true. I did. The word moon in Hebrew, which we commonly discuss, has a Gematria value of 218. So moon, 57 in English, 218 in Hebrew. This woman, sworn in on 5/7/2018. So not only is 57 the reduction value of Scottish Rite and the ordinal value of moon, but it's also the reduction gematria of the word 99. 99 equals 57. Now, why does this matter? The moon equals 99 in reverse. And remember, the moon is connected to the number 13, which is the only number that sums to 99 in ordinal. Of course, the moon begins with the 13th letter, ends with the 13th letter in reverse. We have 13 lunar phases every couple years. So the number 99 is significant here. Now, the 99th prime number is 523. The date that Cantrell was sworn into office had a numerology of 50 and 23. And if you measure from the date that she took office to the date of the collapse, you find it was 523 days later. Furthermore, her birthday is April 3rd, meaning that if you measure to her next birthday, actually from her, to her next birthday, you get a span of 5 months and 23 days. And with capital letters taken into account, Hard Rock Hotel, New Orleans equals 523. And this is not a random ritual. Just last month, I did a post on the death of singer Eddie Money. Now, Eddie Money died 5 months and 23 days after his birthday. It was also 523 days after the debut of his television series, Real Money. That show debuted on a date with 50 and 23 numerology. Remember 523, the 99th prime number? The name Eddie Money in the alphabetic order equals 99. So again, just less than a month later, we get another ritual with almost the exact numerology of this hotel collapse. Furthermore, just to drive this home, Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans equals 357 and 123. And this is a numeric ritual for New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, which equals 357 and 123. Does LaToya Cantrell even know about this numerology business? You know, I wonder. It's interesting stuff. Next, we're going to look at the company that was responsible for the construction of this building. So here we're looking at a page on the left. This page belongs to 1031 Canal, the building, and this is the address of the Hard Rock Hotel that was being built where it collapsed. 1031. This is a really significant number. We're going to talk about this. But before we do, I want to point out that this is Kalis Companies that was responsible. Notice how Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans, actually just Hard Rock Hotel, equals 419. K-less companies equals 419. This is a prime number, the 81st prime number, which again points at the fact that this could be a ritual, which equals 81, both forwards and backwards. In reduction, K-less companies equals 58, just like Freemasonry, which equals 58. And, we wonder if there's some sort of high-level Masonic involvement here. So the address is 1031, which in numerology is 131. Just the name K-less has a value of 131. The mayor of New Orleans, Cantrell, also summing to 131. This, a very significant number. Crucifixion equals 131 in the alphabetic order. Now, the address is not 131, it's 1031. Now, 1031 is a prime number, the 173rd prime number. And look what happens when you write out 1031. It sums to 173 in the alphabetic order. This is really rare, wild stuff, but it's pretty interesting because the number 173 is closely tied to the Eclipse crucifixion code. In the Bible, while the crucifixion is occurring, Jesus cries out, screaming for Eli, Eli, which is to say, my God, my God. And the name Eli is the number 173 flipped upside down. The name Jesus equals 74. The mayor of New Orleans, LaToya, equals 74. And if you measure from the date she took office last year to the date of the collapse, you get 74 weeks. So, we are talking about this Eclipse crucifixion code. And in order to understand where this comes from, it helps to have a little knowledge about the Gospels in the New Testament, where darkness falls over the sky during the daytime, during the crucifixion of Jesus. And assuming the event was real, it's highly unlikely that an actual solar eclipse fell on this date. But the symbolism remains: the death of the Son of God, the eclipse of the sun in the sky. So when we're talking about the Eclipse crucifixion code, we're looking at the number 227. And this is a super significant number because 22 divided by 7 is the smallest equation to give you the first 3 digits of pi. And in Gematria, 22 divided by 7 equals 314. This, a number of ritual and symbolism. The ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry has this number in their Gematria. But check this out. New Orleans, Louisiana, in the alphabetic order, equals 227. This is also the Hebrew value of total eclipse, 227 and 83. Some people were also calling this a crane collapse. Just yesterday, they tried to blow up the cranes, and apparently they failed. Crane collapse equals 227. The city of New Orleans is further connected to total eclipse numbers. In Jewish Gematria, New Orleans equals 1231, the 202nd prime number. Total solar eclipse equals 202. And what really brings this together is when you measure from the date of this year's one and only total solar eclipse to the date of the collapse was 14 weeks and 4 days. In Gematria, New Orleans equals 144. Now, if you instead measure to the next total solar eclipse, you get 14 months and 2 days. In the same cipher, Louisiana equals 142. This also the number of eclipse sacrifice, 142. Also interesting, it's 430 days before the next total eclipse. Remember, Louisiana became a state on the date 430. LaToya Cantrell, the mayor of New Orleans, born on the date 4-3. Jesus Christ equals 43 in reduction. Remember, this happened 74 weeks after LaToya took office. There's a little bit more about the governor here. I don't want to get too deep into this. The most interesting thing is that when you write out total eclipse, it equals 137. This is the 33rd prime number. The Big Easy, New Orleans nickname, summing to 1037. The governor is John Bell Edwards, who took office on January 11th of 2016, meaning that he was in office for exactly 1,370 days on the date of this collapse. I think there's a little bit more to this riddle, but I'm going to leave it there. Just wanted to explain again how this collapse, which, a lot of structural engineers have chimed in and said this should be impossible. There should be no way that this building actually collapsed during construction like this. And that's absolutely the case. These bewildering mistakes are all occurring by a numeric code. And it's my belief that there are angry, dark, evil people behind this who are just really trying to distract us with BS stories while they carry out their true agenda behind the scenes. And even I've been accused of distracting people from the real agenda, but by decoding these events and explaining to people how they are planned in advance, this will give people a better idea about what's really happening about this world so that we can really, truly start to correct it. Because these secret societies that have hijacked our government and media outlets, and may have even created them in the first place, have really lost their minds and gone way overboard, and there's a correction that needs to happen. So whether it's just people, whether it's something different like satanic possession manifesting itself through people as an attack on the rest of us, however you want to interpret it, these things need to be better understood. And, well, you guys get the rest. I just think that we should all be smarter and a little bit more awake to what's happening. Thanks, a couple of you who jumped in the chat. I don't think they found the bodies yet. As of yesterday, it sounds like they didn't. So that's about the extent of my knowledge on the story. But again, another thing that should never happen, should be impossible to happen, and it happens by the same code that we've been talking about this whole time. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks again for watching. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You guys who do are awesome. The rest of you are all right, too. But, you could be more awesome. Peace, love, God bless. We'll talk to you next time. Adios.